The giant. They couldn't leave behind. SMS Derfflinger raised from Scapa Flow on the eve of World War II. The war hadn't started yet, but the ocean was already giving up its ghosts. In the cold, iron-stained waters of Scapa Flow, one of Germany's most feared battlecruisers was dragged back into the light, 20 years after it was deliberately sent to the bottom. This wasn't just salvage. This was a race against time, steel, and the coming storm of World War II. This is the story of SMS Derfflinger and why her resurrection in 1939 mattered far more than most people realize. A warship built to punch above its weight, SMS Derfflinger was not subtle. Launched during the First World War era, she represented a brutal shift in naval thinking. She wasn't built just to look intimidating. She was designed to fight, survive, and keep firing when others folded. Displacing over 26,000 tons and armed with 8 12-inch guns, Derfflinger was fast, heavily armored, and honestly, deadly accurate. British sailors would later call ships of her class iron dogs because they absorbed punishment that really should have sunk them. At the Battle of Jutland, Derfflinger proved it. She took massive damage, lost hundreds of crewmen, yet stayed afloat and kept fighting. That reputation followed her long after the guns fell silent. When the war ended, Derfflinger didn't sail home. She sailed into captivity. Along with most of Germany's high seas fleet, she was interned at Scapa Flow, a remote anchorage north of Scotland. The ship sat there under guard, crews reduced, flags lowered, futures uncertain. Germany feared the ships would be seized and divided among the victors, so in June 1919, the order came. Sink them all. Derfflinger's crew opened valves and smashed pipes. Water rushed in. One by one, the proud warships rolled over and disappeared beneath the surface. It was the largest, deliberate sinking of warships in history. An act of defiance, an act of denial. And for years, Derfflinger lay upside down on the seabed, silent and forgotten. Fast forward to the late 1930s. Europe was rearming, and, well, steel was no longer cheap. High-quality naval-grade metal was honestly worth its weight in gold. And beneath Scapa Flow lay hundreds of thousands of tons of it. Derfflinger was one of the biggest prizes. In 1939, as World War II loomed, salvage operations really intensified. The goal wasn't restoration, it was recovery. Armor plate, structural steel, machinery, anything that could be melted down and reused. Ships like Derfflinger weren't relics anymore. They were strategic resources. Raising her became a technical and logistical challenge unlike anything attempted before. The brutal science of lifting a dead giant. Derfflinger lay inverted, her superstructure totally crushed into the seabed. Years underwater had fused silt, rust, and steel into one stubborn mass. Salvage crews had to work blind, underwater, in freezing conditions, cutting away sections just to make lifting possible. Compressed air was pumped into sealed compartments to force water out. Cables thicker than a man's arm were wrapped around the hull. Every move had to be calculated. Too much pressure and the ship would tear itself apart. Too little and, well, nothing happened. Progress came inch by inch, day by day. The ocean didn't give her up easily. But eventually, the impossible happened. 1939 and the race against history. In 1939, SMS Derfflinger broke the surface for the first time since her crew sent her to the bottom. It wasn't graceful, it wasn't triumphant, but you know, it was real. Her hull, scarred and corroded, rose like a steel mountain from the sea. The timing couldn't have been more dramatic. Europe stood on the edge of World War II. Within months, naval battles would once again decide the fate of nations. The salvage wasn't about nostalgia. It was about urgency. The steel recovered from Derfflinger and other wrecks was uncontaminated by nuclear testing, making it especially valuable for precision manufacturing. It could be reused in shipbuilding, infrastructure, and wartime industry. A ship built to fight one war was now fueling another. What Derfflinger's recovery tells us about war and memory, well, there's something unsettling about it. Derfflinger survived gunfire, torpedoes, and the largest naval battle of her time. She was sunk not by the enemy, but by her own crew. And 2 decades later, she was dragged back up. Not to sail, but to be dismantled piece by piece. It really shows how war recycles everything. Even its symbols, navies evolve, technology advances, but steel remembers. And in 1939, the past was literally pulled into the present to prepare for the future. The legacy beneath the waves. Yeah, not all of Derfflinger was recovered. Parts of her remain at Scapa Flow, resting quietly among other wrecks. Divers still visit them today, swimming through corridors once filled with sailors, engines, and heat. But her story doesn't belong only to the seabed. It belongs to that tense moment before World War II, when nations scraped history for resources and every ton of steel could tip the balance. Derfflinger was never meant to fight again, yet in a way, she did. She fought as raw material, as memory, as proof that no war ever truly ends. It just changes form. If stories like this matter to you, if you want history told with depth, edge, and respect for the people and machines that shaped it, make sure you subscribe to 0 Hour World War II. Share this story, keep these moments alive, and stay with us as we dig deeper into the moments history tried to bury.